Hello, 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 and howdy to you. This is Candelanice for reviews and news. All right, this is the final video of the recap of Bobby Brown's bio on A&E. Now, if you're just tuning in and this is your first recap, please go back and watch part 1 and part 2 with my special guests who are joining me today as well. But the first part we did, it was broken up into 4 parts. So the first part is here, the second part is here, and we decided to do 3 and 4 together because I thought that they kind of went together. As you can see, it's more solemn. It was just amazing. It was amazing. I teared up on a lot of different parts. I'm sure my guests did as well. It just left me in a grateful, sweet place. And I'm going to start this episode off because you guys know we break it down as it goes in chronological order. But I'm going to go to the last page of my notes for 3 and 4 and give a quote that Bobby said, and then we're going to come back. The last quote he said is, "I'm still here and I'm ready to fight another day." All right, so we're going to get it. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. This is Candelanice for reviews and news. All right, so today I'm going to formally introduce my guests because normally I just pop them on the screen and we are so excited and we talk about it. I don't know if they want their last name being told, but at the bottom you see it's TMB, Temia, and Bayseine, and they love Bobby just as much as I do. So we're going to break it down and let you know what we thought about the last episodes. Hey!
Hey, ladies.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back, my ladies.
Yes.
It's kind of dark. I need some more light in my room.
Oh, and she got my shirt on. That's right, Basie.
Yes,
you better
sure.
represent that sore shirt.
Because that's when I looked at the last episode, I said, I need something that's going to represent Bobby.
Wow.
And I looked at my hoodies. It's too hot for a hoodie. And I swiped to the right and I saw Thor. I said, I got to represent my sister and my man all at the same time. Because Bobby truly is strong, original, authentic, and has shown his resilience.
Did I make that shirt for Bobby? That does sum him up. That's a good observation, Bayseine.
It does.
It really. You got to put some light on you, honey. I want them to see your face. Put some type of light on you.
Shine the light on.
May have to turn the bedroom light on.
As long as we don't see Joe in the background, we good. Joe gonna be like, Bayseine.
Okay, hold up.
We don't want to see him on the toilet, or people. How people be doing this stuff and they forget that the person's behind them.
Look, he does always say, "Can they see me?" Every time he pop open the bedroom door, "Can they see me?" No, just stay on that side.
Hey, Joe. All right. So the way that I wanted to represent, I had to do it real quick. The way that I wanted to represent Bobby today.
Yes, with the
everyday
season.
That's that everyday season. Let me tell you something.
Blend.
This one's almost gone. Let me see.
Yes.
You can see this almost gone right there.
Just use it on my mom's turkey burger.
But I just used it on some pasta. So now everybody probably now, since they showed it at the end, is gonna buy it. But we ain't.
We had it.
I'm on
my.
We the original supporters. We the original supporters.
Come on, and let me tell you, like Alicia said, that mix in the bag is the bomb. I got the apron. We got the barbecue sauce. That spicy one, just like everything. And now they have smoked paprika. Now they're just adding to it. So it's amazing. Like that other commercial, I don't want to steal nobody's tagline when they say, I put that on everything.
Right, exactly.
This is the real one.
That's exactly what my husband been saying. And I told him, I think it was last year, right before the holiday. He caught himself sprinkling it on his fish, and he had the wrong side open. Now, mind you, I came and helped him clean it up. But it wasn't until later on that night, he was like, babe, I may have to get you some more of your Bobby salt. That was Bobby? That was Bobby that I was cleaning up?
I hide this in the back. I hide this.
Oh, no, it's grounds for divorce. You don't steal Bobby.
No, you have to use this side. You have to use this side.
I taped it, Kendall. I literally taped it now because he uses it on a regular. So I had to tape the side that he's not supposed to use.
This is in the back of my seasoning. Now, even Bayseine, like I already had it. Bayseine even gifted me some. I ain't forget about that. Gifted me more.
And my god sister gifted me some for my 50th birthday.
Look at that.
2 years ago.
Listen. Hey, listen, the next time we order, we might as well just order in bulk because it's comes out a little bit cheaper. So when we're ready to order, let's just order together because I need.
Because we ain't never gonna stop ordering.
We ain't never gonna
stop
ordering.
We ain't gonna stop. It's a regular.
Exactly.
It's a regular. It's a regular season item.
Yes, it is. Like, forget, I like the other ones, but it's something about this. And look, we're gonna shout him out. It's no added preservatives. It's no artificial ingredients.
Nope. I think it's gluten-free, right?
It's gluten-free.
It's gluten-free, yeah.
The sea salt and opposed to just so many different health
benefits.
No MSG, none of the foolishness. All right, so the part 3 is passion and pain. So I had to.
Now I was representing Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, but it's hot now.
Yeah,
I gotta take this hat off. It's hot now.
I had to rep Whitney. I had to
rep
Whitney. I'm not gonna wear it now because I gotta wear my shirt, so it's still clean. But I had to rep Whitney.
Yes.
Y'all know already I got so many, the audience, and y'all know so many Bobby Brown and New Edition shirts and RBRM shirts and, all of that. But I wanted to rep Whitney. But I want to start by saying, again, like I said it yesterday in part 2, Alicia is a real one.
Mm-hmm.
That one right there, when she first was with him, like we talked about yesterday, she seemed to be mean. She seemed to be cold. People would say she's this and that, and she'd been waiting for Bobby and all this other stuff. But to stand by a man who was going through hell, literally in his life, with a drug addiction, alcoholism, losing the people that he loves, wilding out, to stand by his side and not only do that, but to make him better, stronger, invincible, like, because that's what a real woman does. You can make a man feel like he can do anything.
That's right.
For her to be there and be by his side and her say, it's for better or worse, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be on his ASS. I'm going to be there, whipping
in his face.
Like she act like his mother, or she acts like a caring wife that ain't going to see him go down the hole that he went before. And she wants to, and just like they said, when she took over his career,
look where it went.
Breathed life back to him.
Yep, breathed right back into him.
All right, so let's start from the beginning. Part 3 is passion and pain. All right, so how they got together, flew to Japan. They're talking about Whitney. So this one, they're talking a lot. The last 3, and that's why I think I was so solemn, because I just watched it again, or just completed it, I should say. They talked about Whitney. They talked about Bobby Jr. and Bobby Christina, and that part of his life that we all know about. So how they met, we know from the Soul Train Awards. But when he really knew it was going to be something is when she flew to Japan and told AJ, you know what? I'll forget about her. He finna be my man.
Man.
He said that's the moment he fell in love because I guess he knew she was a G. Y'all want to talk about that?
But she ain't had no drama. She can't. But again, when you know who you are as a woman and where you stand, you don't gotta come with the rah-rah. You can sit back and be like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Because if he gonna be yours, he gonna be yours. And that's exactly what she did.
Remember that part in the movie when they showed it?
Yes. That girl came up in that room like,
why? Because she knew she was threatened.
Oh, absolutely.
Come on,
you got to see at that point in his career, he was strong into his career. He was the king of stage by that time. He was strong in his career. She knew. And let's not even say she was threatened. It was Whitney.
Right. It was Whitney. Just like you said, when Whitney came, everybody partied.
Everybody.
Like the Red Sea.
Like, oh, well.
Like,
look how he walked,
like me and Whitney.
But look how he walked away from his Look how he walked away from his mansion.
Right. Let's tell you jumping ahead. To me, I always like to get to the good part. I'm trying to go chronological just in case somebody don't got A&E.
Right.
We're gonna break it down for them. We ain't gonna read the last page of the book, although sometimes you want to do that.
You know you gotta go to the last.
But to me, it just get to the good part.
Just get to the juicy. Just get to the juicy.
Right. We got to slow
down. His heart was.
Okay, right. I'm back.
So she said she wasn't. So he said she wasn't weak. And of course, Bobby said we would still be together if it wasn't for the drugs.
That was a tough statement right there.
That was a tough because probably so. But then I don't want to skip too far ahead. But when he got off of narcotics, he always was clear about that. So we always knew that he was still on alcohol. But he used to make it clear. He was like, I ain't getting high. Right. He wasn't like drug free. He would be like, drug free. I'm off in the narcotics.
Narcotics, yeah.
And our boy suffered a stroke and 2 heart attacks, and we're gonna get to that. Crazy. But Ronnie said, and I'm just gonna, we're not gonna go every little single part, but we're gonna go in order. When Ronnie said, hell to the no, that's what Whitney would have probably said. He said he could not believe that his boy was marrying Whitney Houston.
They always
like hell to the no, just like she would say. I was crying.
until they got the invitation, they was like, oh, he's married.
This is real. Right. This is real.
Like what? So it's just and I love the fact that I can't think her name was Tracy, but the one that works for Sirius now, she was at the wedding. So you know, sometimes they'll have biographies and they'll have people speaking on the person that don't even know them, never been around them, just giving their opinion like we would.
Right. We know. What do you mean like we would? We know.
That's true. But she was there and they showed the little picture of her there and everything and saying that was the first time she was around him. But what we do know from what we've seen on the screen and what everybody says that was around them is they were in love. And you can tell. Did you see the sweet,
look in their
beautiful
eyes.
Smile Whitney used to always have him? She was just gorgeous. That smile.
It was because she was her. Like, you know, we kind of touched on
it. She could be herself.
She could be herself. She could be herself. She could. And I don't think I'm jumping ahead when I say how they spoke about the pressures and the anxiety they both understood. To come together and be like, hey, listen, like he feels what I feel when I walk into this audience or when I walk onto the stage or just walking down the street. He feels what I feel, the anxiety. So that was deep too. That was deep.
It was deep.
It makes it stronger when you can relate to your partner. To me, that enhances the protection and the love for each other because you respect the person's struggle. You respect the person's, the way they do their job, the way they give their all, and you know what it takes. Yeah. You know firsthand.
Yeah. And you know that no one understands like that person. They can tell us all day long what it's like to sit in an arena of 50,000, 100,000 people, and then what that dark time looks like when they leave off the stage. Correct. They can tell us a million times, but we're not going to get that.
Because we haven't experienced it.
Right, who actually does. So just imagine you having to fake to be someone, and they want to hold back who you really are, where you really come from. And then finally, it's like after a long day when you come home and take your bra off. It's that comfort.
Yeah, and men can't relate to that. Men can never relate to that. Only the next woman can say, "Oh,
exactly."
So that's how she probably felt. Like, I can take my hair off, I can take my bra off, I can, pull out my cigarette, I can cuss if I want to. Like, I can be who I am, and I don't have to be who Clive Davis.
And that's why I like that shirt that she had on in one of the clips that they showed. Me. He accepted me.
Yeah. And she used to always say, "Can I be me?" And she could. So I found it interesting. And Bobby talks about this in the book, as well as this A&E. I keep saying documentary, but bio, right? Where Whitney Houston's father, John Houston, wanted to make sure that he wasn't faking and there was no in his front, and wanted to know that he had money. He was like, "I just got a check for $36 million for publishing, and I had $55 million."
Exactly.
He was like, "What? You want to see my bank account?"
Right. In his book, he talks about he had more money, like liquid money, than Whitney had back then.
He did.
He had more money. He had more fame. He had the black vote. And people said that she married him to get clout. And we'll talk about Robin, and to make people feel that she wasn't gay and all of that. But Bobby was no beard, like pretending, like having him as a piece there, because she might have really loved Robin. I read Robin's book twice. That was an excellent book, by the way. But it wasn't a pretend with Bobby for a cover up. If you could look at any woman's eyes and tell how
she felt,
you could see it.
But that was the reason why they had such an animosity. Bobby and them trying to. It was no room for her, but she had already she had checked out. It was whatever she felt before Bobby. It didn't matter because she had checked out. When she got with Bobby, it was her focus. What she was like a horse with blinders on. It was no left or no right. It was all about Bobby at that point. And if you try, you know what I mean? If that was her lifestyle, well, it was her lifestyle. Whatever her and Robin did and whatever they talked about, it didn't matter at that point, because Robin was trying to hold on to something that she knew deep down in her heart she had lost.
It said that
it was done.
Her to be happy. Correct. And if Bobby was to make her happy, then that's what she wanted.
But I love what they said about Bobby said it.
Yeah, because I believe
Robin
it too.
had stayed
I believe it too.
In her life.
Yep.
Whitney
she would probably still
be here.
Yeah, because Robin ain't play no games. No. And Robin didn't have nothing to prove to nobody.
Correct.
And she protected her because she cared about her, not because of no relationship. Because she cared about her.
Correct.
And that's why Whitney had her, and that was her safe place until Bobby came. Because if you're this person everybody's trying to get at, you got to know what's real and who's real in your life.
Correct.
And that was her safe place. And then she got married. Biblically, she was supposed to kind of let go.
Correct.
And cleave to Bobby.
Cleave to her man.
He did.
Correct.
Correct. So we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but how Alicia was at the wedding.
Wait, Kendall, go back to the proposal. He did it the what? The Bobby way.
The Bobby way. Everything was the Bobby way.
Go
ahead. You want to talk about it? Go ahead.
It's just funny because, we talked about it, how, the street now, it could be, that could have been Bobby Lane. It could have been Bobby Drive. No, it's the Bobby way. It wouldn't have worked. And she said it. They were like, well, how did he propose to you? And she was like, he kept fooling around in his pocket. Right. She was like, boom.
Right.
Like, he did it his way. It was It was nothing big fancy. But listen, I like what he
she was gonna say no. No matter how he did it.
First of all, with that ring, and that's the thing. I'm not saying that her worth wasn't what it was, because Whitney was who she was. But like we said, on the
Mhm.
tangible side, he was worth more than her.
Yeah, he
And
was.
honey, she was flaunting that ring like she had never had anything.
Right.
Like as if that would have been something you and I or Bayseine would have did. Girl, you see my ring? Girl, you see this ring? Girl, you see this ring?
Herself, but her baby gave her that, and it meant that
It
simple.
meant the world
Exactly.
to her. Yeah, that was funny.
And
Go
that
ahead.
smile said it
Yes.
all. When she was being
Yes.
interviewed by Arsenio Hall,
Yes.
that smile said it all. And I think she showed the
Me too.
world that her heart was with this man. I think that just kind of shunned down everything else. That look, I'm about to be his. Get over it. Get over it.
Yeah. And remember, he kept talking about right before they got married. You know how, of course, it was Bobby Whitney, and Whitney was the one that told Bobby when they stopped talking about you is
that's when you should be worried.
But everybody would have thought that Bobby would have already known that. Ain't that something? Like you would have thought that would have been Bobby's mentality.
Correct.
Based off of what they say.
Correct.
All right.
That's why they complimented each other.
Yeah.
All right. So we already know Alicia comforting him by asking, does she love you? Does she tell you she loves you? Does she show you she loves you? Then believe it. And he
Where's the fiance? What happened to him? What happened to the fiance, the groomsman?
Right.
I mean, not that he matters at this point, but she had a whole fiance at that wedding.
Right. And Alicia said that was the hottest ticket in town. She was definitely going to that wedding. She was like, that's the hottest ticket in town. Of course I'm going to that wedding.
Exactly. But I remember that wedding. Do you remember sitting there watching that? Because her coming out with that headpiece on, and just remember how beautiful and their dance. I felt like I was at the wedding.
All that purple. But because I just remember, that's what I was talking about yesterday. Like we can watch clips of other things and know nothing about it, and we weren't in time. But when we'll talk about it later, we're talking about Whitney's funeral. We were there. You know, talk about their wedding. We were there. But being Bobby Brown, when they were saying all that, we were there. So
now the wedding, because it happened in 92, I had lost my cousin. So it wasn't until the following year that I saw the footage. But I did see a clip. I think it was on 2020. I think they did it. This was before they got married. And it was on 2020. And at that time, it was almost like a reveal of their relationship. And I remember sitting on the floor at my god sister's apartment. And they said that Bobby was going to be on 2020. So I was tunnel vision. And her fiance, Trina, my god sister Trina's fiance, Tyrone, he was like, babe, you really going to sit on the floor and look at the TV? We got a couch.
I still do it now at 50.
But I had to be in tune to that TV because Bobby was on there. And like I say, that's the year my cousin had passed. So it was like, I had to get a rebirth even in my spirit.
Wow.
And it took Bobby to be on that screen for me to even come out of that grieving shell.
Wow. Yeah.
And the fact that she was a Leo, I was like, he already got me. Fine. Get married. Love the one you love. You got me through the Leo thing.
Whitney, and then it's just like you think about that, but that is true, because anytime I watch Bobby or New Edition, period, if they're on anything, I'm like sitting
it brings you in the TV like this.
Like I do that. I cannot sit.
I'm on the edge of the chair.
Yeah, I gotta be like on it. Like I was watching this documentary on my iPad and not the TV because I could have it like right there. So I literally was watching it on there. So 6 months later, the album Bobby comes out. Let me tell you, I was waiting for that. I remember when it came out, when it had Bobby's back, the back of him, and he had the Bobby on it.
Girl, that
black back.
I wanted if that thing ever went up for sale, it would be in my house, because that was the sexiest picture.
It was, and I couldn't wait until that came out. And of course, I got the CD. I remember the hats. I wanted the little hat. And humping around. And I still say it to this day. When it's Wednesday, I don't say hump day. I said we humping around today.
Humping around.
But just even just all of that with them still together, and they were when Sinbad was interviewing them, and just the love. Like Whitney was just gorgeous. Bobby was just smiling with that gap, and now he got closed a little bit. Alicia said, "All right, we're gonna get you some teeth next," and she
she didn't close them up a little.
It's just like a sliver of a gap.
Yeah,
but the old footage reminds you of that big gap.
Yeah.
And Bobby Christina's was the exact. They had the exact same teeth.
Gap.
Like it was
twinning. They was twinning.
Yes, it was like exactly the same. All right, so then we move on to Bodyguard. They talk about Bodyguard and Bodyguard, and they always ask, was he jealous?
But before you get to that, and when they were right after the Bobby Brown humping, the Bobby album came out, it was funny because Ricky said,
"Oh yeah,
when that album came out, it motivated them.
They knew that they had to step up.
Oh, we better get ourselves together because Bobby ain't playing again.
Come with that fire.
Yes,
with that fire." And then with Bodyguard, they always asked Bobby, was he afraid or was he nervous? He said, "I'm Bobby.
I'm
Kevin."
Bobby.
He said, "He's only Kevin." He said, "I wasn't intimidated." And just
that movie was powerful, though.
Yeah, it was.
That movie,
you know what that reminds me of? I gotta say it. Me and Whitney was pregnant at the same time. I was pregnant with Leah, and she was pregnant with Bobby Christina, because I remember watching the video, I'm Every Woman and all of that. And I remember I was pregnant dancing to it, and she was in the video pregnant. And I just remember that. So when I think about that, and then that really puts it in perspective when you think about Bobby Christina, like, dang,
Well, I got excited because she was born March the 4th.
Of course you were. Right?
I was like, one more day.
Yeah, around your birthday. Tamia's birthday is the 5th, y'all. But and then of course they have Bobby Christina, and Bobby, of course, is saying being a father means everything to him, and I just love seeing him with his kids.
Yes,
like I was talking about yesterday, like you can see when somebody is close to their kids or love their kids. You can say it all day long,
but
when
you
witness
see
the interaction,
yes, we
just,
witnessed that.
Yeah.
Oh, she was a G again, Whitney, because we can't take nothing away from Whitney. Whitney was a G again because remember the other girl got pregnant.
Yeah.
And Bobby told her, and she was like, "Okay, let's," you know what I mean? Like, again, they were all G moves.
She wasn't letting her
she
man.
was like, "Listen, I'm not this Bobby."
She beat him up. No, she beat him up.
Beat him up and kept it moving.
But she still had that finger.
I'm still yours, you still mine.
Right.
Did you see it?
Right. And Bobby Jr. and Bobby Chris were almost raised like
twins. Yeah.
And it's been reported in other biographies. I don't even know if I want to say it, but Whitney was like, it just shows the toughness and how she was. Well, like, okay, you have them both, so they're gonna be named Bobby.
They're gonna be Bobby. Listen,
Bobby girl, and Bobby
boy. Exactly.
Now, do y'all know what the name he wanted? He wanted Tatiana.
Oh, you talking about
Tatiana? He had said that in an interview when Whitney was before she had a baby. They was like, "Well, came up any names?" And he was like, "I want Tatiana, but she ain't going for it."
No, she pushed for Bobby, and that's what I'm saying. She was like, "She ain't gonna have one up on me. They both gonna be Bobby. Then that's how we doing it."
But I love the part that they said that they were parents first.
Yeah.
No matter how much the industry, because if you remember, that little girl was in every audience, every behind the scene. I mean, it probably is
from toddler to adult.
Too much,
but he debunked the myth though, because I don't know if y'all remember. Like, it's been I told you I've seen, like, it's just ridiculous how many Whitney Houston biographies I've seen. Biographies and autobiographies, and these type of shows are my favorite shows because I like to really dig in and hear and just see certain things. And a lot of the biographies with people not knowing Whitney, like I said, the best Whitney biography for me is Can I Be Me? Y'all got to watch that. If y'all haven't seen that, try to see if you can find that.
Yeah, I just recently watched that one.
Yeah, because Whitney is in that one, and Whitney is talking. So they have the other ones, you know, when somebody died, they try to have all of these. And I remember somebody was saying, oh, it was sad the way they did this in front of Bobby Christina, and they would leave her and they did this. And I'm glad Bobby was like, nope, she was there. We didn't. And he said, our BS, he said, we didn't have her a part of that.
Nope.
You know,
not at
so
all.
So he said it for himself. And I know everybody used to be like, even the publicist was like, why don't he speak up for himself? People have been saying that for years. Like, why don't he say, I didn't get her on drugs? Why didn't he say, I didn't hit her? Why didn't he say, I didn't do that? And as a publicist, I can see how you're frustrated. Like, why don't you sticking up for yourself? But I love his approach.
Loved her that
I know
much.
I didn't do it.
He loved her that much to protect her.
Right. And
he
didn't
loved her
really
that much.
Because
it was
even him saying it don't matter who started who.
It didn't matter who started who. We both was out there. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
I know what else was surprising to me too was the fact that he said going back to Robin, he said he didn't know a lot until after they got married.
Yeah.
He said he didn't have a clue
pretty much
until
three's a crowd.
He's like, okay, three's a crowd now. Whatever y'all did before, that's over.
But I can see him not knowing. Like, I can see him not knowing. And women have women around them all the time as their best
that's
friend.
What I was going to say.
And that was still her best friend, though.
Correct. It was still her.
But that still goes to his respect for her and even her privacy, even in the relationship. He still let her be who she was. And if she had that friend and she had that go-to person, in his mind, I'm not trying to take away from who she is. Yeah. I'm trying to cover her and be an asset to her. Yeah. You know, not a hindrance as far as take her away from what her norm is. Yeah. But like we say, three is a crowd.
And he said,
when it comes to that intimacy, it's gonna only be me.
Yeah. Yeah. The Bobby Brown way.
That right there. That right there.
And the Bobby Brown way meaning ain't nobody else in the way.
I'm waiting to see the hashtag Bobby Brown way.
Bobby Brown way. I'm gonna make us some shirts. I'm gonna make us some shirts.
Yes, hashtag Bobby Brown way.
Hashtag Bobby. We should wear that to when we go take the pictures at the
in Boston. Exactly. Right.
It's on. You know, it don't take much for me to make a shirt. All right, so Bobby he goes on to talk about his alcoholism. Y'all, we are talking about part 2 of the Bobby Brown bio on A&E. Go back and look if you're just tuning in for the first time. Go look at part 1 and part 2. We recap that. And today we'll be doing part 3 and 4, the final part. But he said his alcoholism took him into some weird places. And in the midst of his heightened alcoholism, New Edition gets back together in 1996.
In 96.
For the All Six reunion tour. Right. So mentally, Bobby was not ready for this tour, but he said he had been sitting, kind of wasting away, not doing nothing but getting high, drinking, doing all of that stuff.
Right.
And he
he's
said
ready to get back out there.
Because he said it wasn't because of money.
Right. Money wasn't the motivation. Right. It wasn't.
He missed his brothers and he needed to get back on stage.
Yep.
So I remember that reunion tour, but I love me some Bobby. But when you look at the footage, you be like, boy, he was annoying. Like, what? I'll be like, Bobby, why are you annoying them like that?
Exactly.
I felt like he went back to that adolescent mindset. It's like he just was, I'm gonna be me by any means necessary. Right. You know, take me as I am.
Listen, but you couldn't even argue with people when they were like, well, look at your boy now. I'm like,
you couldn't.
You're like,
but that's the unconditional love. Like, you don't stop loving him.
I still love him, but
we can say he was being annoying and he was wilding out.
And he was wilding out.
Exactly.
We still love him.
Mike came, what they said, Mike came at him every time he acted up. They said Mike was on him. Like, dude, we older now. Come on.
And wasn't it? You know what? When I went to see, you guys can look right here on my YouTube channel, my recap of the Culture Tour and all the mishaps that went wrong on the tour when he came to Baltimore. And you'll see why Johnny Gill other than him being a Gemini like me, he keeps getting more respect from me. Because initially I didn't want him in the group, didn't like him in the group. Loved him with Stacey Lattisaw, loved him, with Perfect Combination, loved him separately or with Stacey Lattisaw. But when he came to New Edition, I don't like bringing new people in. Like, can we keep the old thing? So, but each time he's gotten my respect over the years. I told y'all for part 3 when Bobby was on his low and he took up for him just each time. And in this documentary, like he just made me feel good when he was talking about Bobby and how he loved him. And he was just like, it's when you have somebody that's on drugs and doing this, he said, it's not in you to give up on them.
Yep, he said he was
talking about Bobby,
and they didn't want to give up on him. He was like,
and when he
said went out due to the respiratory situation, he was like, we missed him. It's not, even though he was acting a fool, but you look for a portion of that because it's who they are. That's right. You're waiting for Bobby to do the humping, and you waiting for Bobby to jump around. Because that's what motivated them, and that's what made New Edition.
That's what got him a lot of the press, and people want. Let's keep it all the way up. We love New Edition. We love New Edition. Bottom line, we don't need to defend that. However, ... New Edition has gotten so much publicity and so many people coming because of Bobby. Because these people who may not have been fans like us or going to the shows, Bobby was that draw for them.
Correct.
Come see them. So let's
see what Bobby gonna do next.
Right. But think about that tour and what he said. He said he couldn't even focus on the tour. He loved Whitney so much that he focused on pleasing her. As soon as he came to the tour, he switched up everything. He
started catering to her.
Than his work. He started
and
catering
he said I was not giving my all to that tour because he was giving his all to Whitney. And then you know what that means. Then you drugging and loving, pretty much.
That's it.
Drugging and loving.
You saw she would jump in his arms at anywhere. She didn't care where it was. She didn't care. You know what I'm saying? And again, he thought, I think he said it early on, he thought that their love was strong enough
to endure anything.
Drug. But then he thought it could. There you go, Bayseine. He thought it could sustain anything.
And one of his quotes, and it just like, I'm gonna read it. Quote, Bobby Brown. It's not until you come out of the fog you can see you're in darkness.
Yep.
So when you stop those narcotics, as he says, and you have a clear mind, you see what's going on around you. And sometimes you don't like what you see. But then when you have two people who are on drugs, and he talks about that, and we're going to get into that in part 4, it's difficult to, if you're trauma bonded and you have something in common, and this is what you do together, this is your routine in a relationship, and then one person says, I ain't doing that no more, then that's going to put a strain on the relationship, because now what we're bonded in, one person is no longer doing it. So we're going to talk about that in 4. But they still talk London shares his sweet moments with Bobby.
Whitney.
With Whitney about Bobby. That was funny.
Bobby
when he said, how you doing, Dad?
Right.
He said, I'm in jail. That's how
I'm doing. I'm in jail. Whitney like, I'm in the damn phone.
And Whitney, he said Whitney rubbed his head and hugged him and laid down with him.
He stopped crying.
He stopped crying.
But that's that blended. Well, I know about blended family.
Yeah.
And when you're in those circumstances and you're that mother, well, that bonus mother, because that's what I call it. When you're that bonus mother or bonus father, there are so many emotions that come with that. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
let's
the fact that she loved them all.
Just explain that to me, because you do know. Tell them how, when you married Dwayne, what did he come with?
So I married a man with 5 children, and I had one.
He was a widow.
He was a widow, and the emotions that comes behind that, you're going to, no matter how hard you try to just be their friend and blend with them. No matter how hard you try, you're going to hear the words. You're going to hear the words, you're not my mom. You're going to hear the words, you're not my dad. You know what I mean? You can't tell me what to do. But when you come in, and not to say that Whitney probably didn't have any problems, because if you watch the show, when
She
they
has some
did the
problems.
reality show, not only did she have problems, but Bobby Christina being the spoiled one, you know what I mean? Because she was in the home with them together. You know what I mean? So no one has really been married and in the home with Bobby. So just the fact that none of that like she just embraced those kids, and those kids embraced her. Those kids, I'm not saying that it was always perfect, but the love that they had for her was incredible as
And it
well.
probably is once they weeded out the initial we having baby at the same time, the initial you cheated on me, the initial
There you go.
the
Yep.
competition, or
Yep.
you
There
know,
you
the
go.
anger, then it settles into family. This is our family. There's no divide, no
And
line.
it took maturity on both of their end to
Right,
say it's about these lives
right,
that we're now
Exactly.
training, and we have to
Exactly.
be the best example to them collectively and even individually. So even when
right.
Bobby was locked up, Whitney still stood up, and she
Correct.
she she represented that,
Yeah,
your father is still your father, and
yeah,
I'm here now to at least keep you all in peace
yeah. And
while
how
he's
Bobby said,
away.
like, this
And
all
she
our
showed that to him. She showed that to them. And for
Yes, she
them,
did.
that went a long way, because
yeah.
she could have easily said, just go back to your mama house till your daddy get
Right.
home.
Right. When
She
your
could
dad,
have
I'll
did
see you
that.
when your dad
Or
get
like some
home.
people take it out, you take it out on the kids.
Correct.
You know, and
Correct.
Bobby, and I just want to talk about this. I'm sorry, we got to talk about it. So he didn't touch on it in the documentary, but in the book. So Bobby Brown's book, you know, of course we read the book, but then I also listened to the audio too. So the way he set up the audio was Ralph spoke, Bobby Jr. spoke. He had the people who had the written parts in his book speak, and
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Jr. did say that sometimes he felt slighted with Whitney. Now that's a human response because we know the situation behind it. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes he said he felt like she had to name him Bobby because of Bobby, and that
Right.
was the thing. So they are human beings, you know, at the end of the day, and you got to get around that and you got to swallow that, and then you can go on to have that relationship, but you got to acknowledge the truth first, and that's what it sounds like
Exactly.
they were doing. But at
Exactly.
the end of the day, we know that Whitney loved those children and they loved her. We know that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We know
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
so prison was a turning point for Bobby. As we talked a couple of times in this episode, that that's when he got off narcotics and he was clean. But before he went in, I think if he hadn't gone in, Bobby would be dead right now,
Absolutely.
because he was talking about heroin. He said that he was putting crack in the weed.
She was
Exactly.
trying to kill him.
Heroin. He
Whitney
was
trying to
weed.
kill
He said
me.
he had a pot, right? He said he had a pocket of weed, pocket of heroin. He had crack. He said he had everything.
Yep.
You know, to the point, even they showed it in the movie, which he talked about, where he
Right.
thought Whitney was trying to kill him.
Right.
But if
And
he, that's
that's what hard drugs do. They
but that's
demonize your mindset to where nothing is realistic anymore. You're
yeah,
in that demonic state so strongly. And when
yeah,
I think about the fact that Len Bias died from trying drugs one time,
yeah.
look at Bobby. He did it through years and years
That's
and
what I'm
years
saying.
and years. If
God's
that
grace.
wasn't God's grace covering them, I don't know what was.
Because I'm
Even his
telling
son,
you,
though, when they talk about his son, you know, when
the
how
fentanyl, we're gonna talk
they,
about that in
yeah,
4. And that's because that's a major
Just one
problem
time.
to
Yeah.
our shoot, men and women, not just the men. But I just feel that he would have. God saved his life, and that goes back to Ricky's quote in the beginning when he talks about losing. Remember what Ricky said? I want to get the
yeah,
exact quote
his
again.
losing
When
his, I mean, yeah,
let me see. He said, oh wait, that's the helmet. No, not the helmet. Bobby had
losing can be a blessing.
there you go.
Yeah.
And it really can. And where you think, even he said, even though it was Bobby, it was unjust that he went to jail and it's for the traffic violation and he shouldn't have. That's
The
what saved his
only
life. And he
charge, the
killed. Right, the only
only
charge.
charge.
So if you weren't
only
paying attention,
charge.
you would have thought he went to jail 10 times over some of different things.
Just
Different things, but it was
after
only one thing.
violation after violation, and
Started
one
driving
charge.
without a license.
Started driving without a license. Yeah, and it goes to speak volumes, you know. Well, we'll get there, but yeah, when I tell you, like, everybody was like, "Oh, he's always getting in trouble. He's always getting in trouble." No, he high.
We was
He
like,
had the money to pay the fine. He had the money to go to have somebody drive him around.
mm-hmm.
But it was, again, it was that mindset that he was in. And then look, when Chris Rock said when he picked him up, he was like, Bobby don't owe nobody nothing but himself.
But himself, exactly.
And then what happens? He walks into the devil's den. He gets into the car.
And she got it loaded up like a candy store.
Like a candy store.
He got everything like what she got him like on Good Times. Remember Lenny? She opened up his,
my name is Lenny. If I ain't got it, there ain't any.
She had all the snacks, everything up in there. But it's just when I think about Bobby and think about that will, like he said, he did it on his own. It wasn't easy. You know, anybody out there
it was self-resilience. It was self-resilience.
Yeah.
And he had to do it for himself.
That's
but just imagine that long ago, he has not done it. Think about that willpower. You know,
listen, if anybody knows my story, and I'm not, you know, I'm very transparent about my childhood and my mother. My biological mother was an addict. She was addicted to drugs at a young age. And my biological mother came off of narcotics. And I couldn't understand how she was walking around, going to different organizations and speaking about being clean. But she did the same thing Bobby did. She went from one addiction to another. And you know, she ended becoming an alcoholic. And so when I listen to that, you know, not that I walked it or lived it, I can understand what he talks about, how she never picked up again. She was not getting high with narcotics anymore. She was now getting high off of alcohol. And you know, alcohol takes a little bit longer to get you where that one hit of a drug will be. So now
it's a slow substitute.
There you go. It's a slow substitute. So I mean, I just wanted to point that out. Like when he was saying that, like I was like, wow. I was listening, and then you know, it was tapping into, you know, what I've heard and what I saw going through, you know, my adulthood with my mother. It was like, wow, that's deep. Because she said it. I'm drug free. And I'm looking at her every day like,
but you drink it. But see, I guess when you are a drug addict and that has a hold of you so much, you want to keep telling people that you are.
Yep.
Like you're picking up another one, because if you have an addictive personality, you know, it's just like you're going to move from one to another, but that still is accomplishment when they probably didn't think that they would ever get off narcotics. So it's like a praise in one, but then it's like you pick up another one, but it's like you got to crawl before you
and before we end, I want to say this. Now we see the Bobby that's now addicted to good
and happy.
It's only joy, 3 years. To happiness. 3 years. He is now making a conscious decision that every day that I get this gift of life, because he has seen death at his door for too many times. Because I am alive, I am going to live it, love it, and be happy in it to the fullest until I close my eyes.
So let's end that with 3. I just have to say something, and God, something just over me every time I seen Tommy hit the screen. Like I wanted to pray for him. I don't know why. God has been just urging me to do that. So I just pray that his health is all right, and I pray that he's okay, because Bobby can't take another. And I'm not even
exactly.
But I just was, every time it's just something when he came on the screen. It's just, I don't know what it was, but I'm praying for him.
It spoke volumes to the end of 3. And I think all of us can say we were emotional when he went for the first time
to the gravesite.
Yeah. That almost made me, as much as I love Bobby, that almost made me change the channel, because,
that
and
was
I'm getting emotional now thinking about the love of your life and your daughter. Like he said, and you guys know I've buried a child. You're not supposed to bury your children. And
that kind of hurt cannot.
to get a double whammy, and for the first time to sit in front of them.
he didn't know what to
Alicia
do.
could do no wrong in my
Alicia,
eyes.
no, when Alicia walked up there,
no wrong in my
but
eyes.
look at the respect she gave to me, and when she stepped back, that's what you took it right.
Listen, I'm trying to. I need to meet her again and just tell her again how. I told her then, and this was before any. Like I knew
this is when she was still mean.
This is still when she was mean. Exact. This when she was in manager mode for real, getting him back on his grind, because I don't even know if I shared with Kendall, but that day when I met him, he was drunk. He had a glass in his hand, and she gave him this.
Well, we know that he just didn't get. It's been 3 years solid. Then
Correct.
he had
No. That's what I'm saying.
We already know.
But that day, it was crazy because she gave him this look like, these winners, these people who paid.
She won a raffle.
Correct. These people who are here, your fans are here. Like basically, if I could read her mind, she looked at him like,
get it together.
Like, get it together. And you know me, I'm always watching. I'm looking at my surroundings. So I'm like, wow. And my eyes is where? On Bobby. So I'm watching it. He hands the cup over and puts it down. But you could see that he was strong. Like I could see
that eyeglass, that glass.
There you go. But again, it just it's that woman. Oh my God. There's nothing. She is a real
one.
Oh my goodness. It's nothing she could do. Like if they told me right now she cheated on Bobby, guess what? I'd be like, oh well, her job was done. She brought that man back to life. Okay. Listen, I'm serious. I tell her good. Now I got a chance. Listen, that's all I'm saying.
But that was so emotional to me. You're right. Bayseine, man, that grave site, and he was there. And I don't know if you saw Whitney Houston's father was right next to Bobby.
Yes,
right next door.
Right next. And just seeing the voice on there on Whitney's, and seeing Bobby Christina, and just looking at that, and Alicia respectfully backing up to have his moment and saying, right, this is the first time that you've been here, and able to, kiss it. Even when he was leaving with Whitney, I said, well, what is he going to do? Because he kissed Bobby Christina.
And he went right.
And he touched. Yeah.
And your past is your past, and you can't change that. So I love the maturity that Alicia has. Like, you know what? But she did say, it's difficult to keep talking about your ex-marriage. She said, I live in the now. She said, but it's hard, but I respect and appreciate her not doing like some people do. Don't be saying her name. Don't be going. She allows him to grieve the way that he has to, because if you hold on, Bobby don't seem like the type to me that holds stuff in, because he seems very honest with himself, and just some of the things that he says, you can tell that he's not holding it in, but what he was doing is suppressing it with alcohol and drugs and all of that. And that's everything else that he's been through. So sometimes if you're thinking about that, you want to escape that, then you're going to do that. So we know why most people don't get high, because they just want to, or they drink. A lot of times it's to suppress and to try
suppress something. Yeah.
Myself from thinking about those things that, haunt you at night.
I asked a 16-year-old, well, she was 15 at the time. I asked her, she was smoking weed. Her mom asked me, to kind of talk to her, and they've got these pens now. And I asked her, I said, I live in Jamaica now, so it's yeah. I said, I live in Jamaica now. It's normal to smoke weed in Jamaica. Like it's not taboo to smoke weed in Jamaica. I said, so let me ask you a question. What is the feeling? I said, because I've never been a weed smoker. So what's the feeling? And she was like, this is exactly what she said at 15 years old. It makes me forget stuff.
Yeah, that's
at
real.
15 years old. It makes me forget stuff.
Look we talked about what happened to Bobby, all that before he was even 12.
Yep. He said it again. Yep. He cracked a bottle of a can of beer at 7 years old. You know what I mean? So again, when she said that, it just, again, it takes me back to, always wondering why my mom picked up or why my mom drank or why, you know what I mean? And the things that I've learned along the way about what she dealt with in her childhood, I can understand why Bobby was where he was. But the one thing that he never, and you have to be so realistic with these children today, he was always real with his children. He told his children never fall, never, you know what I mean? Like, don't, but unfortunately, Bobby Christina may have been in the limelight just a little too much, because the other ones were not as in the limelight as she was, and she saw
Because she had
probably
two celebrity parents.
two
They
select.
just had
There you
one.
go.
One,
There you
yeah.
go. And I know for a fact that played a part on who Bobby Christina became, because she idolized them both.
Yeah.
She idolized them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you idolize somebody so much, you
Yeah.
want to do what they do, say what they say,
Yeah.
walk like they walk. She was her mom and dad all the way
Because
around.
we don't know what else she was seeing behind the stage with somebody else. It didn't have to be her parents. Because we already know what's happening if she on tour with somebody else, if he's on tour, what they're doing, what they're exposing. Because kids grow up fast in that life. If they're behind the scenes, nobody's saying, "Oh, be respectful of their children on the set." Ain't nobody doing that. They because children are treated like adults. It's like, you back here, this is how it is, this is what happens.
I'm glad to see that they showed footage of happier moments before Bobby Christina crossover.
Yes.
Correct.
To me, that footage to me can still give Bobby love from her and life. Like, he can still say, my baby loved me.
Yeah.
We didn't end. It did not end where there was strife and there was strain. It didn't end. Her life didn't end right after Whitney, to where he couldn't get in touch with Bobby Christina. So to be able to even have that ending of peace.
Yeah.
Like he said, if he could get back those 2 days, those 2 days would have been the world to him, but he can't. But the fact that he can say out of his mouth, me and my baby loved each other. And because they showed that footage, now the world can see that she said, I love you. I love y'all. So whatever her demise turned out to be, they can still hold on to that love.
Hold on to that.
Now let's take us into
and that's God given.
Absolutely. So that takes us right into part 4. So now let's recap quickly part 4, Lost and Found. That one was titled, and it was a great title.
Yes,
because he was lost, and look all that he found.
Yes.
Because of just his wife, his peace, his therapy, as he says, him being able to, we said in the beginning, confessions heal. So they start again with the grave site in the cemetery. And of course, Alicia is there supporting him. It was just a beautiful, beautiful, sad moment. After jail, Whitney was still using. They showed that, and how it was difficult, and they were going separate ways because Whitney was still trying to be on that stuff, and Whitney and Bobby saw the damage that was happening, and he can see clear eyes now that this ain't the move. And that's really unfortunate, because he said if he was still there, that she probably would have been alive, and even if she called, or if he knew what she was going through, that he would still be there to help her. But I love the fact in the movie they show what happens with the abuse, when people talking about, oh, Chris Brown, Bobby Brown, James Brown, they all beat women. Bobby did not beat Whitney Houston. He was trying to beat up the drug dealer, and Whitney was trying to stop him. They show this in the Bobby Brown story, and he hits her by mistake when she's trying to do that.
It was a swing back. It wasn't intentional at all.
No, it wasn't intentional at all. It was, like you said, a swing back. So he cleared that up. And the publicist is just like, why hadn't he said anything before? She already knew. Everybody that knew him knew, what was happening. But that says a lot about Bobby, like you said earlier, Bayseine. Like, he still protected her in a lot of different ways and didn't really speak up. And that shows what type of person, you know, he is. Because if you really look at Bobby, outside of the alcohol and the drink and everything, if you look at old clips, if you look at now, how calm and how sweet he is. Even then, he still was so little boy like, and you can tell you can see the sweetness and the sweetheart. And even now, you can see that. You know, yeah, he still got the cockiness, he still got the Bobby Brown way, and he still got all of those layers like many people do. But you know, substances alters who you are. We know this. You know,
That's
we've
right.
seen people in our families, you know, everybody's family. Shoot, I know mine. Everybody's family got, you know, somebody who had tried to escape the pain by drinking, by smoking.
If you lived in the 80s or the 90s, you saw something.
And all the people in my family who did that are no longer here. They died.
Yep.
You know, and I can go this
Yep.
person, that person, I could do that. And you know, they died. And Bobby is still here. Made me mad. Okay, let's go into Being Bobby Brown. They were showing the clips from Being Bobby Brown. I watched it. I even taped it on a VHS tape.
Yes,
Somewhere around.
listen, she was hilarious. Listen, I know because they talk about the skits, and it had to be like they said.
That
It was
made me
hurtful
mad.
to watch.
That was hurtful to me.
Right, it was hurtful.
I couldn't.
Whitney
I couldn't look at them skits because I'd be condemning people to hell from looking at them.
Most of the time.
Because now you dogging people who on drugs.
Correct.
Like, that's not funny to me.
But Ricky, was it Ricky or was it Ronnie?
Ronnie.
That was basically
Ronnie said he watched it.
Right. Ronnie was like, what?
No, and Johnny was like, why? But Johnny was like, he kept watching it. He said he watched it though. He wanted to see like everybody.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's like, you gonna do what? Like, everybody knew what state of mind Whitney was in.
Even Johnny asked, why was you doing it? He still watched it.
But he probably was like, what time it come on?
Like everybody, like you was.
Exactly. And the fact that he said the Houstons pushed her towards divorce. She wasn't gonna divorce Bobby probably would have eventually, but the Houstons pushed her towards divorce. And again, our boy speaks volumes. He didn't want nothing.
No.
He went.
Wait, you keep trying to jump to the end. You keep trying to jump there. That's the part. When that part comes, I'm going to let you have it.
Okay, go. I'm sorry. I'm back.
I'm going to let you have it.
I'm sorry. Go. Because that's awesome to me.
I know. I'm going to give you that part. We're going to go right on down. This is for people, like some people ain't seen it, so we try to break it down.
They better catch up.
So Alicia, they talk about, so he talks about his addiction. Of course, it hurt his career. You know, I think about that Ja Rule video after he had his stroke when he was like thugging and lugging his voice, his mouth. I just was like, it just hurt me to see Bobby in that way. Like and I know it did hurt his addiction. I mean, the addiction hurt his career. Then they show the moments where they talk about Alicia. You want to say something to me?
No, my sharp pain in my hand. No.
Oh, so when they talked about Alicia, and then she was talking about him beating himself up, and they all said that Alicia saved his life. And Bobby said a brand new life, brand new start. You know, we've seen the clips on the Being Bobby Brown, the Bobby Brown story. The clip is right here on YouTube. So if you're watching here from YouTube, leave here and see when he proposed to Alicia at the concert. The baby Cassius was with her. Yep. And he proposed right there with his friends. That's when he was doing the Heads of State. I think that was Heads of State. That was with Ralph and
and Johnny.
Yeah, and Johnny. And Alicia, sometimes you need that strong person, that no nonsense, you know, that mean type what you think. But you can tell she's not, but you have to be firm. Because if not, somebody who's on drugs and alcohol, they know how to be sneaky. They know how to find around a way about to get what they want. You know what I mean? So that helped him, didn't hurt him. Like it really, really helped him. And she saved his life. So then they go on to talk about Whitney's death in the day that that she died. We all know that scene. That's another thing that we were here to live and to witness the day before the Grammys.
Did you try to go? Did you try to go like I
To
tried
LA?
to go?
No, I didn't try to. You
No,
tried
it's in Jersey.
To Jersey for
Her
a funeral.
funeral in
Oh,
We tried to go to a
Jersey.
you
funeral.
went to
I was
the
trying to go.
hotel.
I was gonna be one of the
I
people
was
standing on that street crying. I wanted to go.
Now,
I
my
didn't.
sister-in-law in North Carolina, my niece is named after Whitney Houston because
Mm,
my sister-in-law love. She loved Whitney Houston like I love Bobby Brown,
mm.
and my sister-in-law's mom name is Elizabeth. So Whitney literally had
Oh,
my
yeah.
niece's
Lady
name
Elizabeth.
is literally Whitney Elizabeth,
Yeah,
and so she traveled from North Carolina to New Jersey
I
for that
bet.
service.
I
Yeah, I
bet.
was trying to get there. I had to work.
I
I was
bet.
trying
Because that is, I didn't go. I didn't even. I just remember I watched the whole thing on TV,
on
and
TV. Yeah.
I'm not a big funeral watcher, but I really, and I know I remember being pissed off what they did to Bobby. I remember watching
Yeah.
it in real time. I was
Real
hot.
Hmm.
time, hot.
I was like, no, no. I was driving. Actually, I was on my way to Jersey, not for the funeral, but I forgot. I
Mm-hmm.
was some on my way, and I had it on in the car. I started watching it
Mm-hmm.
at home, and then you know how long it was, so I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't watch. And I just remember,
I just felt for the kids. Bobby could
yes,
handle it. Like, even
his
though it hurt Bobby,
entourage.
but to call his kids his entourage, and not only that, those kids were broken. They want, like they kept
Exactly.
saying, they
For
wanted
their
to hug.
sister.
They just wanted to hug her.
They just
Yeah,
wanted,
They
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 just
just
wanted to
all they
connect
wanted
with
to do.
their
They
sister.
cried
That's
out for
all.
her. Bobby Christina, and the mom just pushes her in. Like,
but Sissy, that's a whole look that we could do a
we ain't
whole
even we
show.
go all on show about Sissy, but go ahead.
So
Mm.
of course he found out, and I just look, just the way God does things. I have to say this. I'm sorry. The way God does things. He had his brothers break the news to him that Whitney died.
Yep.
And he happened to be wrapped in the arms of his
Yep. His
brothers
brothers.
during the tour when he dies. Imagine if he was by himself.
Yep.
Imagine if he was with somebody who didn't have care and concern for him.
Yep.
They did drop the news to him gently.
Yep.
They did that because
Hmm.
remember,
Yep.
because he was on tour, because they
Yep.
came to the Baltimore show like right after
Mm-hmm.
he died, and Bobby
And
wasn't there
Bobby wasn't there. Yep.
because he was on tour. So I remember
Mm-hmm.
that tour, that all six tour, and when they had just got back together. But Ronnie just talking, Ronnie has a calmness anyway, and a sincerity about him. And even when he's talking about Bobby, and like, man, we had to
Mellow fellow.
fellow fellow
Like
like
the
the
fellow.
that was my opening of my interview.
Right.
But just how he said, man, we had to break the news to our brother. Like, that's painful.
Yes.
That's painful. And Bobby said, I wish I could have been there for her. And when he said that, and he's still crying, like he's still, do you notice, like he's still, it
Mhm.
still takes him back to that place.
That moment.
Yep.
Because because that's still, you can see the love. Like, he loves his wife now. We know that, you can see it. He's in love with her. But to be able to show your true feelings and emotion without thinking that your current wife is
Is
going to be like,
going to be mad. Or,
right. You're still showing like your love, and just because you don't spend that many years together, that long
And
being
not love
married,
somebody.
And
Exactly.
not be affected. Nope.
right.
Exactly.
And then also probably the guilt. I wish I could have helped her. I shouldn't have. We both were doing drugs. I got off, almost like that survivor's remorse type thing.
Correct.
Yep.
You
That's
know,
exactly what it was.
dang. And then, of course, like, I mean, part 4 was sad.
All
It was
day,
sad.
every day. All day.
They talk about Bobby Chris, and they talk about the funeral like we talked about. And LaPrincia, y'all, she had me crying. LaPrincia
Yeah.
had me crying
Yeah.
when she was just talking about her sister, and she was
Hmm.
talking about the love that she had for her sister. And
Sorry.
no, you're fine. the love. I'm just thinking about when Lucretia started crying. I started crying.
Me too.
How their funeral affected her, and how she, as a big sister, she wanted to protect, and she was talking about her father, and then just the whole thing. Every time she came on the screen,
She was emotional.
emotional,
Emotional.
emotional.
And that's in the now. I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't film it too long ago. And just think about how, even now they all still get emotional when they talk about their sister, because there's a part that they didn't get, you
Like she
didn't
said,
get,
it's
you
two of
couldn't,
them missing.
two of them is, yeah, boy, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So they talked about the Masterpiece album, which I love. A lot of people don't know. They talked about that Forever album that was just
No,
overseas. I had that, but that Masterpiece, a lot of people slept on that, but I love that album. So they talked about that and how they thought that Bobby was disrespecting his current wife and singing about Whitney,
right.
actually singing about his mom.
His mom.
Mother. Yeah.
Keeping
And we who know his heart
mhm.
can feel that, because he suppressed so much, about his mom, seeing certain things at a young age. So for me, when he did the Masterpiece, that was therapeutic for him as well. That was a way of him even releasing. And like he says, music has been his lifeline.
Image song is my
That's all
song.
he knows is music to get through life.
He heard it in his head.
He
when
heard
was
it in his
in
head. Gary said the same thing. Back then, he heard it in his head. But
Mhm.
everything that he has done has been who he is.
Yeah.
You can go back to Don't Be Cruel, My Prerogative, Every Little Step. You can go just go straight down, and it's just a chain of events
The
in his
chain
life.
of his life.
And most
Yep.
we talk about Mary J. Blige. She writes the best songs when she's hurt. Why? Because she's speaking from
Pain.
here.
What
She's
she's
speaking
going
from
through.
there.
And not here.
Correct.
Like,
Or
what are
what
people
she's
going
going
to
to
say or
come.
think?
Correct. And it was crazy because right around that time, they said they felt helpless to help Bobby. You know what I mean? His kids. And then it said people kept him in the Whitney world. Like every time he did something, it was Whitney. Oh, he doing that for Whitney. Oh, he's singing to Whitney. Oh, they
I got
kept
that.
him in the Whitney world.
Yeah.
They
And
kept
then
him in there.
Alicia said it wasn't always easy.
Nope.
So you're married to someone else and you really y'all got kids and you still kind of
Bobby and Whitney. That's all you hear. Bobby and Whitney.
Because think about how many songs had Bobby and Whitney's name.
Correct.
I want to be like Bobby and Whitney or Bobby Whitney,
Yep.
They were that. So that has to be difficult. But think about if you're the new wife, you still respect his past because everybody got one. But just imagine, and Alicia was like, because I live in the now. So think about them when they're at their home, when they're with Hendrix and Bodie and Cassius and, all the other kids, they're in their world. This is what it is. It's like a bubble. Then when you go outside, people talking about Whitney. She like, that's a decade ago. That's 15 years ago. They was married. They got married 20 years ago. So you probably forget because he's not the king of stage Bobby Brown at home. He's just Bobby.
Exactly. He's just Bobby. He's husband and daddy.
He probably,
husband and daddy.
Right. Probably forgets all of that hype. And then when you come out the door, it's like Whitney, Whitney, Whitney. And she like, it's been Alicia for forever.
But the thing about it is too, that unfortunately, because Bobby Christina is their sister, and they didn't get to know Bobby Christina like everyone else, they are still going, unfortunately, thank God that they are strong as they are. They still gotta protect them from the tabloids that, oh, you Bobby Christina's sister, you know your sister died from drugs, you know her mom died from drugs, you know your father was on drugs. So even though they're in this bubble, I'm pretty sure if I could be the picture on the wall, there's still conversations that have to be open.
But you heard what Alicia said at the end, like they really talk weird to real to them about drugs.
They have to, because unfortunately in some situations, and it's funny you say that because I've always been afraid of what it would do to me. I don't know what it would do to me because of what my mother at such, she was young when she had me. So I don't know if it was a tad bit left the residue in me. I don't know. But I chose not to take that chance.
Yeah.
But I hear so many times that people say alcoholism, it sometimes it goes down into generations.
Yeah.
So you gotta, they've gotta, their parenting has to be way harder than the average because they've got to fight off the, back then you didn't have the YouTubes and now these kids can Google Bobby Brown and what's gonna come up. New edition, negativity, and then
that's why you gotta be honest with your kids. You gotta you gotta tell them before somebody else tells them, and and some people might not agree because it's a certain age. But if let me tell you something about these kids, honey. They
know before you tell them. Exactly.
They know at 2 years old. Like, how did you find this show at 2? You can't even read. But they know
honey, they know how to work these tablets. The tablets are their babysitters now.
Yes.
So they know how to work these tablets. If you don't know how to do something on a tablet, ask a kid.
Yeah. It's true. Facts. So so they gotta be, it gotta be, a real conversation. Whether someone thinks it's age appropriate, but at 4, if you asking questions, then that's the time to have that conversation. At 6, you asking that question, that's the time to have that conversation, because if they're having that conversation or they're asking you questions, then they know something, and you want to make sure you give them the real before somebody else gives them the real.
Did you love what Ronnie said when he was going through that? He said, there was days where I couldn't say nothing. He said I was just there. And sometimes that's all.
Just your presence says a lot. Your presence speaks volumes.
Remember that time I called you and you was at
I didn't hear nothing you said. You went out. What did you say?
I said, remember the time I called you and you was at your daughter's game? And you didn't even I didn't say nothing. She knew. When you know your friends, you just know, sometimes you ain't gotta say nothing. Just be on the other end of that phone. And I could talk about bubble gum and shoestrings. That ain't what I wanted to talk about. But if that's what I needed at that moment, you can't pry into, like, oh, and one of the worst things you could ever say to me when I'm going through something and you have never been through it, don't say you understand. Don't say you understand, because I'll chew your head off. No, I don't. If I didn't walk it and I didn't experience it, that's one thing I try. I'm not going to say I'll never, but I try not to use the words I understand.
No, you got to be clear. I can't even imagine how you feel, but I'm here however you need.
There you go.
Because I don't like that. Do you understand for real? No, you don't. Don't just say. See, a lot of people just say stuff just to say stuff, and
I know sometimes it's
not say nothing if you don't know what to say.
That was powerful. He was like, I was just there. He was like, he said it. I mean, that was just powerful to me.
It was
for him to be that brother.
You just want to make sure you want to know somebody's there, even if they don't say nothing.
Correct. We could be in the same house. And I be in one room and you be in another. And I mean, I'm experiencing something like that now. Like just the comfort of knowing that somebody's there. That part right there. That's real. That's real. Powerful.
That's real.
And just like prayer is real. You can see when God allows you to see what you prayed for. And that's what I was just telling Joe today. I had to get that off my chest because he know I love this man. He know. And thank God that he accepted, he understands.
Wait, Bayseine, wait. You can't be on a show about Bobby Brown and not tell quickly about the cutout.
Right.
You got to talk about it quickly.
You got to talk about the cutout.
Okay, and that ties into Joe too.
Okay.
I had a live statue poster of Bobby Brown when I went to the concert in Maryland before I met Joe. And in my apartment, I stood it in front of my patio. So literally, if you was outside and looked up at my patio, you thought it was somebody standing there 24 hours a day.
It was Bobby.
It was Bobby. And I had it facing, I had it facing at a glance where I could see it and you could see it out there too. But when Joe came over to visit the first time, he was like, "Is that somebody standing there?" And I said, no, that's Bobby. He said, Bobby Brown? I said, yes. I said, that's my man. That he's near and dear to my heart. He said, oh, okay. So we went out on our date or whatever. By the time he came in a second time, he said, do you keep that there all the time? I said, yes, I do. So by the third date, I had folded it down because I was starting to get giddy about him. So when he saw that I had it folded down, but the face was still facing me on the floor. He said, are you going to keep that thing? Yes. Now, mind you, I met him in May. He moved in September. So by the week that he had moved in, he asked the question again. You going to keep that thing right there? Joe?
That means when you throwing it away. That's what
right.
That means.
Joe, let me take a picture of it. I took a picture of it. I said, now, I can't bring my heart to toss Bobby nowhere.
No trash can.
So, if you want to remove it when I'm not here, I'm good with that.
That's love right there.
And he said, I got you. Because he knew that it was dear to my heart. Now, mind you, when he did toss it, the night that he put it out in the trash, I didn't see that he put it out there. But that next morning, when we went out to go to work, that billboard thing was back on the floor, on the ground, at the trash can. So whenever they lift that thing up,
you ain't throwing me in the garbage.
You ain't throwing me away. Exactly.
I told Joe, I said, now, do you understand how much this man is in my heart because of what God has just shown you through him not wanting to be thrown away? He said, babe, but I got you now.
Oh.
And
I said, okay.
How many years later? Tell the people how many
25 years this past May. 25 years I've been looking in that man's face. And I had to tell people because everybody was like, how did you let him throw it away? I was like, well, I love Bobby. He'll always be dear to my heart. But it was a new man in town. And his name was Joseph Hedgeman.
But that's what Bobby said. Whitney will always be in his heart. Mm-hmm. But there's a new woman.
There's a new woman in town. And then her name is Alicia.
Yeah, exactly. Right. No, you heard what he said. She said, spell it.
Right.
She said, now spell that.
Right.
Said, I'm good.
Right.
I'm in the now. She's here now.
Only that matters. That's all that matters. Yeah.
So we're approaching, y'all. Thank you for sharing that story. You had to share that on this last day. All right.
Yes.
So we go.
And like I was saying, I wanted to say prayer. I had to tell Joe tonight that I'm grateful to be able to witness that Bobby Brown endured, Bobby Brown persevered, and Bobby Brown's life should be a testament to those who may even be going through now. That is self-resilience, and it's a self-choice to want better and go after better. So he says he prays, he has counseling, and he keeps those good things near and in his space, which is a testament of God's grace and mercy. And I thank God that I'm here to witness it with him now.
Amen. And God, and having somebody around, everybody needs somebody around them that's going to tell them the truth, and it's not going to be a yes person. And especially if you're dealing with a lot, and you're dealing with substance abuse, you don't need the person around you who's going to give it to you. And every time somebody come around with it, they're going to make sure they get it for you. You want that person around you in any situation that's going to say that's not good for him or her. So I'm not even going to let him know that you came over here trying to give that. You blocking that for the betterment of that person.
That's no, and don't.
Yeah. And that's what Alicia.
Stop, no, and don't.
Look like she ain't got no problem telling somebody to get off my porch. Back away. Like, you're not coming to him with that foolishness. And I don't even think anybody would come to her with some foolishness because she don't play in a good way. you know, and he needed that. He needed that discipline, just like she said. He needed that, because anytime you're going to get off of anything that you've been doing for a long time and it's difficult to do, you do need some type of discipline. We saw in jail he had self-discipline. We see with alcohol he didn't, because he said when Bobby Christina died, it went full throttle. Like he was drinking himself to death when she passed. And he had 2 heart attacks. He got a stent in his heart. And
that's what made me get teary-eyed when he was like, I got 2. I'm like, thank you, God, for prayer. Thank you, God.
Bobby Brown
he is a walking miracle.
Yep.
He is a walking miracle.
He said, die or get sober.
Yep.
He said it. He
Which
said,
one you
die
want?
Or get sober. Which one you want?
I'm so glad he chose the latter.
Until all his bodily functions stopped. Now, come on now.
He was peeing in himself.
All his bodily functions had stopped.
Right. Pooping in himself.
He had no control over it.
He made it to 53 and counting. 53 years old. Where
Whitney didn't make it to 50.
No. Well, she was like 48, right?
48 when she passed.
48. So when you think about that, and him having 2 heart attacks, he said he got stents in his. So when people get on my nerve, oh, Bobby is big, oh, he looking like TD Jakes. I heard everybody was like, oh, he ain't moving and all that. Do you know that the man had 2 heart attacks? Do you know that he had a stroke? Do you know that he has a stent in his heart? Do you know that he is a recovering addict? Do you know? So for him to just get out on that stage and be sober is the gift.
But you know what I love about watching this whole tour? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. This is the first tour that I was heartbroken, but you know, situations were different.
Yeah.
Can I tell you that every time I saw someone post a clip in the negative, because of course, you know, you're watching it, look at Bob. It didn't annoy me. You know why it didn't annoy me? Because his brothers had his back.
They sure did. And I told you, Johnny was
his
the MVP
brother
at the Baltimore show.
Had his back. If he couldn't step, they were stepping for him.
Yes.
They were doing his moves that he would have did back in the day.
Yes.
They were making sure he was good. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, every time I seen him sweat, I was like, yes, Bobby, yes. I was like, get it, Bobby, get it. Like, I was like,
yes. And that's what brotherhood is about. Let me tell y'all, I was saying at that concert, no matter what's happening on that stage, Ricky and Ronnie and Ralph, they gonna keep stepping. They ain't gonna miss a beat. But in the Baltimore tour for the Culture Tour, Johnny Gill was the MVP, and I'm gonna tell you why quickly. I loved him in this biopic too, this documentary bio, because he just said some of the warmest, sweetest things about Bobby, and you can tell it's so much love. And even though Ralph wasn't there, and Ralph and Johnny were feeling the same type of way when RBRM went on tour, Johnny was on this bio. And he's the MVP at that Culture Tour in Baltimore. I talk about it right here on YouTube. You can check it out. That's the video I was talking about. Johnny gained weight. And if you watch a New Edition show, you know that they'll do New Edition songs and all the solo. They'll come in and out with BBD, Ralph, Johnny, Bobby, and they'll interchange. And they're so seamless, you don't even know who's coming and who's going, right? But Bobby Brown had food poisoning and got sick. Something was wrong with his stomach. So he was only out there for like a song and a half. And the whole concert, he wasn't there. Aaliyah, my daughter, said they were so great. She couldn't even tell.
You didn't even know. Yeah.
Bobby wasn't out there. But then Johnny, when Johnny was like, the devil is a lie, they ain't going to get us. Johnny, I was kind of salty when Johnny was singing every little step, and I was like, okay, well, where's Bobby?
Right.
Singing Bobby's songs because he had his brother's back and he had to do it. Johnny always says he's not a dancer. Johnny Gill has gained weight. Johnny Gill was out there giving everything he got when he was trying to do all the Bobby Brown songs. He was sweating. He was tired. He's not used to being on the stage that long. They usually take. So he had to do the audition stuff. He had to do the Johnny Gill stuff. Yep. And he did Bobby. But you know what? The MVP. He was breathing all hard. He was like, the devil. I was like, you know what? We was laughing. Like, I was kind of mad. I was sat down like, wait a minute, I don't want Johnny singing it.
Right,
No,
right.
no diss to Johnny, but you want Bobby.
Right.
But let me tell you, Johnny had his back. Then Mike sprained his ankle. So then Mike wasn't on there. So they all had to pull for each other. And it's just an example of brotherhood. Like you down.
And their professionalism.
Yes.
Somebody said Bobby disappears on most of their performances. Sometimes he does.
You would disappear too. Look, all that you
Bobby
going on with your body.
Gained the weight. He got heart attack. You know, if you've been on the whole time, you hear Bobby's just trying to work through some things, but he ain't drinking, he ain't smoking, and he ain't on drugs. So if Bobby every little step the way he used to, and he sometimes look, my baby, my boy, I love him, but he looked like the uncle at the cookout.
Yes.
Let Bobby do his thing where, you know, nights like this side.
Yeah, Miss, that's what you think about, right? When you see that.
Look, at the end of the day, Bobby's going to give what he can, and he's going to give it in Bobby's way.
Yep.
No ifs, ands, or maybes. He's going to do it Bobby's way. And when Bobby can't, Bobby going to stand there and just look at you in that red hat and that red trench coat and say, Bobby's still here.
But you know
he ain't going nowhere. He's still here.
And his voice still sounds good. And he does do some of the moves, but Bobby it just takes you back to 83. Bobby is still going to be the one that's going to be out of step because he's going to do his own thing. This ain't nothing new. Just because him and Ronnie were always the best dancers. And just because he can't he can't hard dance like he used to, he's still the same Bobby because he's going to do his own thing. This ain't nothing new. He's going to do his own thing. And if he feel like he got to hold on to a speaker for a second, then that's what he got to do. But everybody loves him. And, you know, we ain't judging him because I don't know if I can keep up with New Edition's dancing.
Listen, I already know how much I love to dance. I'm breathing. I always tell the kids I need oxygen. I need oxygen going in and coming out, okay?
And look, we've been following since 83, so we know what it takes to get up there and feel like we're 13 years old again.
Exactly.
So 9 times out of 10, it's these folks that's 25 and 30 that's making these comments. Walk a mile in his shoes and see what you can do. Walk a mile in his shoes.
That's true. And Bobby ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. We already know he could dance. We already know.
Been there, done that.
Bobby could sit on the speaker with the mic and sing, and we gonna scream, they gonna scream, and everybody gonna scream. If he didn't do not one step, if Bobby just came out there and sat on the speaker and did a pump of his pelvic area,
he could still do that.
Yes, we know he's still making all them babies. He could definitely
and lick that tongue out at you like he a daggone bull.
Yeah.
All right, so let's come on down to the end. So he talks about his heart attacks. He talks about, you know, detoxing, and it was just beautiful. I love water. Temia too, with boats and beaches, and he was just standing out there with his arms up, and they were just talking about he detoxed completely. He went to therapy. He said he prayed. He did all of that, and he said he knew, you know, after Bobby Christina's death that he was drinking up a storm, so he knew he had to detox. And he did that. And it's been 3 years since he's picked up a drink. It's been 20 years of something like that for the narcotics, but 3 years completely sober. And you can see it in his skin. Like his skin is amazing. He looked great. He looked great. And so what if you gain a little poundage or two? Who ain't? We all gain a little poundage or two. But he's healthy and he's here. And he said he was willing to do whatever it takes. And plus, Bobby got little kids. So that's probably an inspiration to say, you know what? I want to be here for them. All right. So then they talk about Bobby Brown Jr. in November 2020. I knew he died. I don't know I didn't know Bobby found him. They never talked about that before. That Bobby is the one that, like a father. Something's wrong with my child. He ain't.
I didn't know that either.
No, something's wrong with my child. I'm driving, and Bobby Brown and all his Bobby Brownness, he got in the car by himself, drove to his son's place, opened the door, and saw his son's lifeless body on the floor. So not only does your son die and you didn't get the call, like you actually see it yourself. And he
You
says,
did the actual whole
right,
9 yards of witnessing
right.
that your
So
son is gone.
right. And he said he hasn't fully cried. And Bobby's son was found dead on the floor and fentanyl. Now, so many, I watched Red Table Talk. They were talking about Michael from Michael K. Williams from The Wire and you know everything amazing he's been in and talking about fentanyl. And they had a whole show on fentanyl. And that's taking people out of here left and right because they're lacing. And his son didn't do. They said it a million times before. His son didn't do drugs. His son was experimenting, and that one time, you know, they're lacing weed with it and all kind of things. And they said when I was watching that Red Table talk about fentanyl, they said it has no smell or taste.
Nothing.
Wow.
So you don't even know by putting it. You know how you can eat bad food. You pull, you be like, "Ooh, something wrong with this. I ain't doing this." This thing, I thought it has no taste or smell. You say, "Yeah, that was really sad to find out your child was deceased." I actually love any. I went to their last show here in Miami. All right, Miami is on live. Thank you,
Miami.
But yeah, that is sad to find your son there. And he called, and Alicia said he called her and he was hysterical. Bobby was talking about prayer and therapy and changing the narrative, you know. So looking at him with his kids, how did that make y'all feel when Hendrix jumped on him and hugged and they were daddy and they were zip lining?
And watching that Masked Singer, to me, that's priceless. Those were priceless moments.
Daddy.
Your baby just showing you that they love you, they appreciate you, they adore you. And like he said when he was the crab on the Masked Singer, he did it for his kids. To show them daddy's still doing what he loved. Daddy's still doing it. May not be as small as I want to be, but daddy's still doing it.
But I think with those children, they get the opportunity to get the Bobby that no one has ever gotten.
Ain't that something? That's deep. That's
that no one has ever gotten.
That's a good point.
You know, his children, he was making a life for them. He loved them, but these children get him.
Yeah.
They get the opportunity to have the man.
Because we don't have nothing to prove.
Correct. They get the opportunity to have the man that we have been fighting for years to tell everybody he wasn't a bad boy.
That's so true.
He was a caring, loving entertainer, because he's always going to be an entertainer. He's doing it differently now. He's cooking on the grill. He's he's showing his kids the industry the way they want to be able to do it. One is ballroom dancing. One is this one. He's letting them be just who he didn't get the opportunity to be, because because you said it earlier, Kendall, that he gets on the things that he was doing. It was all, I don't know, it was you or Bayseine, but it was like he was going back to childhood. It was because his childhood was ripped. It was ripped. It was ripped, and he lost it by the time he was 12 years old. His childhood ended before he turned 12.
Yeah.
So by that time he watched, as we stated in an earlier episode, that he watched his best friend die. So again, I said it as those credits were rolling. I said to the person that I was sitting here watching with, I said, if that man picked up 8 more times, which I don't want him to, but if he did, guess what? I couldn't judge him. He found his best friend dead. He found his child dead. Listen, those
what about his sister? They didn't even talk about his sister.
They didn't talk about his father, his sister,
remember his sister's fiance that got
who got shot
right
in
his
the car.
arm.
Yep. So again, as not even fans, but as us watching entertainment lives, you understand what I'm saying? We have to remove the Bobby Brown and just remember that person and what he endured all of these years. And like Bayseine said, I'm glad I chose to be the fan of the men that I chose to be the fan of.
That's right.
Because we could have been fans of anybody, you know, and I'm pretty sure we have some fans, but to be the true fans, that's why when people,
always,
I said it before, you're a groupie, you're a grandmom groupie. Well, guess what? I'm going to be the grandma groupie.
We fans. We family.
Listen, but guess what? I'm going to be whatever they want me to be.
But I'm going to support Bobby.
I'm going to support to the end. Like I said, listen, to the end. I couldn't exactly get you some. Get you some.
I put that ish on everything.
Right. And I love what Alicia says. She said, I have done whatever it takes to show him he matters. She said, I will nudge him and nag him. Listen, any man that's listening
to a real
on
one,
this podcast, a real woman will nag and nudge because she cares most of the time.
That's right.
And vice versa.
To help you get to your purpose.
And vice versa. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know.
Nudge with love. I'm going to get a t-shirt.
Correct.
Nudge with love.
With love. I like that. Nudge with love. But she said, I've done everything it takes. And what did he say? What my kid, he want his kids to see him in a better light than he sees himself. It ain't even, again, it's him not being selfless, not even caring, because he knows at this point he could have been gone. So at this point, he just wants his kids to see him in a better way than he sees himself. Because how hard was that to be at a wedding where it probably was open bar that he paid for, and they talking about margaritas and martinis, and he was like, "What's in that?" He's like, "What's in that?"
As we wind down, yes. Well, as we wind down, I want to ask you what they asked them. Bayseine, you go first. Bobby Brown is, keep it short, Bobby Brown is, and you fill in the blank.
Peace.
To me,
Bobby Brown is peace.
An amazing human.
And I say, Bobby Brown is God's special child. Special child. And Babyface, I'm going to end with Babyface. He said his job, Bobby Brown's job isn't done yet. And Bobby's last quote was, I'm still here, ready to fight another day. And I started this show with that quote. And if you're still here, then you got to be up to the fight to see another day, and you got to do whatever it takes. And
there's a choice to fight, fight the good fight of a good life.
Yes. And with the sobriety, I'm sure it's not easy. All right, y'all. So I'll give y'all whatever you guys want to say or talk about to me. If I didn't talk about something you want to talk about, guys, if you're tuning in, this is part 3 and part 4 of the A&E biopic from Bobby Brown, the documentary that aired 5/30/22 and 5/31/22. Anything you want to say to me that you got on your paper that we
Nope. I think we covered everything. I think it was amazing. I hope that anyone that tunes into the show understands that it's not us just being fans. It's us being understanding and wanting someone to see a different light, shine a different light on Bobby. And just want to thank Kendall for being the shining light on Bobby.
Bobby, gotta do it.
Yes, I'm grateful to be a part of this sisterhood of loving on Bobby. I felt like, during my adolescent time and even after I got married, that I was a solo lover of Bobby, as far as being heartfelt to nobody could understand. And of course, meeting my kindred spirit, Kendall, God let me know you're not alone. You're not alone with your love for Bobby. And the giddiness that you have other people now that you can see share that same giddiness. Unapologetic. We love Bobby B. We're going to love him to the depth. And may he continue to soar and persevere for the rest of his natural life.
And
I
this is
love my
why,
Bobby B.
this is why, like, how could I not befriend somebody with 92 buttons on that also like I had to know that this was gonna be somebody in my life. Like anybody that got Bobby all over, you know, you can't do no wrong. You all right with me. You all right with me forever. When she had them on, she was like, I ain't have no shame. This is what it
Nope.
is. And I'm representing Bobby, and this is how I'm coming. And just
I
like
was 13 again when I was at that book signing. I was looking at him with 13-year-old eyes, like, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby.
is that you?
And like I say, at the end, I stayed. I was the very last person to walk out of that bookstore that was there to support him. And when I tell you, I got that bear hug, I'm good. I'm good.
All right, Temia, we're going to get these Bobby Brown Way shirts.
Yes.
And we got to plan a trip to Boston to take a picture. We took a picture in front of the New Edition Hollywood Walk of Fame star. This is only right. This seemed right?
Before it was, when it was wet on the ground.
It wasn't even, the name wasn't even in there yet.
Even on there.
The clay wasn't even hard yet.
Nope.
Well, I'm definitely going to be a part of the Boston. I'm going to put money in the savings for the Boston trip.
Shoot,
we're headed to Bobby Brown Way.
Even if we take the Amtrak, that ain't.
Listen, we will get there. It don't matter. It'll be a turn.
You still got some connections in Amtrak.
I'm gonna sing that song. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough. We gonna get there.
All right, y'all. I thank y'all so much for tuning into this show. You know, we had to do 2 and 3 together. I mean, 3 and 4 together because it all kind of tied together. It seemed like one episode. So if you're looking for part 1 and 2, they are separated, and I have it labeled. If you're looking for 3 and 4 and what we thought about the whole 2-day
passion, pain, lost and found. Couldn't sum it up any words better.
Right there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Reviews and News. This is a special edition. I've never had any guests on for Reviews and News, and Temia and Bayseine, I don't know if I wouldn't have wanted to do this one without y'all. And it was
thank you for having me.
It was spur of the moment. None of this was planned. We weren't planning like, oh, when this comes out, we're going to talk about it. But I knew.
And believe you me, I dropped plans to be a part.
See?
Look, say Bobby, and I'm there.
Straight. So I gotta go like this when I get done. But bye, everybody. Thank you for watching Reviews.
Love y'all.
Subscribe, like, and share. And if you know someone who is a Bobby Brown fan, you have to share this video with them. Don't forget to subscribe, and this will be under the playlist New Edition Central. Thank you for watching Reviews and News. God bless you.
Bye.